Hey everyone, how's it going? Grizzly Bear here with another episode of 1v1 Me Bro, the series where I sit down with a member of the TF2 community, have a conversation with them, pick their brains a little bit, and see what's going on, just have a nice conversation. This month's guest is the wonderful ArraySeven from YouTube. He's best known for his Battle Medic and Bone Saw videos, but as you guys will see, there's quite a bit more behind the guy than just a Battle Medic. So without further ado, here's my conversation with ArraySeven. Alright, so the guest this week is the wonderful ArraySeven, who we have here with us, known as the Battle Medic of YouTube, Bone Saw enthusiast. How you doing today, man?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me, Grizzly.
Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to sit down and talk to you, and I just want to know right off the bat, where do you get this love for the Bone Saw? Where does that come from?
Honestly, when I first started playing Team Fortress 2, I just was an idiot, as many people are. You know, as many people are now, as a matter of fact. And I thought that the Bone Saw, because it had Bone Saw, it was meant to destroy bones. So I was running around, hitting people with this, hoping that it would do extra damage. And as it turns out, I found out that it kind of did. So I made a video on it, actually, just kind of being all hyper sarcastic and facetious and all that, and well, it kind of caught fire. So now I don't really rely on the Bone Saw so much because I found out that competitively the Uber Saw, as everyone has told me before, is the best option. So that I just run it as a joke, you know, and it's kind of my thing at this point.
Right, and your whole kind of thing is you're kind of the battle medic. You know, that's what a lot of your content on your channel is centered around.
Exactly. Well, the point I'd like to make is that the medic can be a little bit more aggressive, you know, because sometimes if you push yourself like that, I mean, it can't benefit. You know, you enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's like risk versus payoff kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and it's a completely like different play style than anything else in the game. Nobody else really plays Battle Medic.
Yeah, nobody's smart anyway.
Right, but you don't only play Battle Medic, you also play like Serious Medic, right? Where you go around and you heal people and...
Yes, of course. Actually, over my time, you know, just playing Medic in general, I've kind of adapted more to kind of a hybrid of, you know, Battle Medic and legitimate Medic, you know, mainly because it's nice to be able to heal your team, but it's also nice to be able to do work when you need to, you know?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's like that's what makes Medic most effective, but it's also cool to be able to like step back with the needle gun and like fire off some shots and be like, you know, I can kill this guy if I need to.
Oh, exactly. Like just the moment where you just like do some sort of fadeaway crossbow shot and pin someone's foreskin back. Oh, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment.
Nothing beats that. That's like the best kill right there.
There you go.
So you do you play, like I was saying, you play competitive, or you play Serious Medic, I guess what I was saying, but you also do play a little bit competitive. That's something you've kind of stepped into recently, right?
Yeah, I've actually been getting into UGC 6s and Highlander lobbies, honestly, but I'm on a 6s team and a Highlander team, but I noticed that with 6s, it's much more fast-paced, and even as a medic, even as a combat medic, you know, just even firing like a crossbow shot and nabbing someone, either a teammate or an enemy, I mean, that 70 health or 70 points of healing can easily make the biggest difference in the world. That's why I think it's so, you know, so interesting. But meanwhile, there's also Highlander, which is like a pub, but much more serious, much more legitimate, like the game should have been played, I think. But I do think that, you know, it's kind of worth to get into that kind of area. Because if you play pubs your entire time, you really don't fully understand what your job is as a class until you're actually put to the pressure where everything you do matters, you know.
Yeah, so I think competitive is like a really cool thing to get into. I actually just got into that myself, and hopefully with the matchmaking coming up, that'll kind of open up that world to a lot of people where it's like, you know, there is a way to play organized TF2.
Yeah, exactly. And lately on my channel, I've been kind of putting up like medic tutorials, you know, and I've kind of seen it as my personal mission to make sure that we don't have completely worthless medics out there, you know, when matchmaking comes around. So hopefully someone who doesn't know anything about medic can, you know, watch what I do and at least get a decent idea. I don't pretend to be the best one out there, but I know a thing or two about what I do.
Yeah, and you actually you've had a couple of videos. You did one video with Mr. Slyn, who's a competitive medic.
Oh yeah.
And you went over the mediguns and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's really helpful to newer players.
Exactly. I've been kind of looking to do some other videos with some much more higher level Highlander players as well. You know, but I've just been having a hard time getting in contact with them. You know.
Yeah, it's understandable. One thing I want to mention about your channel is you have all this meta content. But I think one thing that a lot of people notice when they first like fire up an ArraySeven video is they hear your voice, and you've got a great voice, in my opinion. And that's something that I first noticed.
Why,
And I was wondering
thank you.
Yeah, it's great. And I was wondering, is that something that you've worked on, like you've crafted that, or were you just born with this amazing voice?
I think a little bit of both, honestly. You know, on the one hand, when I first started doing YouTube, I had this super obnoxious, like hardcore raspy commentator voice. I don't know if anyone's seen my first videos, but they were pretty awful. I spoke like this. I sounded like I had a freaking like blender full of gravel in my throat. That's how I spoke all the time, every hour, as a matter of fact. You know, and then people like liked what I did, and they're like, you know what, you should probably knock it off with that thing. And I was in complete denial. And then I started like doing it like this, you know, and then just kind of sang in some sort of pleasing baritone, and and people seem to like it a little bit. So I kind of got used to speaking in this kind of voice where it flows just majestically like a river of audio chocolate and soothes your eardrums like you've just been subjected to some very white smooth jazz.
Well, that is great, actually. And I was wondering, like, is that ever like a career path you've thought about going down, like maybe like radio work or voice acting?
Oh, I would love to do that. I've actually, like, some people have seen the sub versus sub videos on my channel. I've only done 2 so far, but that's pretty much me practicing my shoutcasting, because I would love to get good at calling things off the bat, you know, making some entertaining and, you know, informative, like, commentary over games live, you know, just off the bat without having to script things, because I script things heavily. I'm terrible at coming up with things off the bat, you know, like, my content is so terrible when I'm live. You know, it's so it's hard to describe, but it's just so different, you know.
Yeah, I understand. It can be tough, and I think that's definitely like something that it requires a lot of practice. And I think some people don't realize that. They're just like, oh, you know, like this guy, he's great, and like he could do that, but they don't realize that it's actually pretty difficult to just like form coherent thoughts sometimes even.
Yeah, it just takes time, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It really does.
Another thing to notice about your channel, and I've noticed a few times already since we've been talking, is you've dropped a few similes, and that's something that you love to do.
I love it. I love the similes, man. I love it.
You just have like this gift for someone. I have some examples here that I just want to share, some of my favorite ones.
Okay.
A burden like Stephen Hawking in a cave expedition.
Yes. I can imagine that's very much a burden.
I heard that one and I started cracking up. And then another one that I thought was pretty humorous was they backpedal like the Amish at PAX.
Yeah. You know, I'm not Amish and I've never been to PAX, but I'm pretty sure those two really don't mix that well. Like, a lot of people hear these and they think, oh my god, you're so clever for coming up with these things. People don't realize that takes a lot of thought. On the spot, I'll end up using the same kind of references over and over again. You know, I'll just use pop culture references and like, I'll just consistently use, like, Kanye West for some strange reason over and over again, you know, without actually having time to think about it. And that's like I said, it's just something that I'm trying to get better at, but...
Yeah, you definitely have some good ones, and I was wondering, like, is that something that you do just, like, sit and think on? And like you said, you know, it takes quite a bit of effort, like, coming up with these things, and...
Oh, all day. So at my job, I have a lot of time to just think. You know, it's kind of monotonous work what I do. And I have time to think, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll come up with a really good like comparison or similar or whatever, and I'll make a video around it just so I can use it. That's like finding a transmission and building a car so you can put it in there, you know?
That's awesome though, because every time you come up with one of those and I hear it, I'm just like, man, that's so good. So, I mean, keep doing it. It's working apparently.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's great. So the whole YouTube thing, I mean, that's something you've been doing quite a while, and I was looking at your page, and recently you've passed like 85,000 subscribers. That's where you're at right now, and that's...
I know!
That's insane.
What the actual fuck? I swear to God, someone with my skills and intellect should not be this far along. I swear to God.
It seems like that's something that a lot of people say. They say, you know, when they hit that mark, they're saying, I can't believe it. And they're saying, I don't know why anybody watches me. And Is that how you feel? You kind of have that feeling of why would anybody want to watch the stuff I'm putting out?
Every single day. Like, recently, I released a video describing, like just Scotjaw and I actually doing a golfing video. You know, where we just spoke in the microphone really softly like this, pretending we're some golf commentators. You know, and people loved it. And I if I was watching this as like a person watching YouTube, I don't understand why anybody would ever like that ever. Like, I did that because it was like a running joke that Scott and I had, and I was completely bored out of my skull.
Really? Because I saw that video. I thought that video was hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. See, I don't understand how that shit's funny.
I don't know. You just had like the voice was just so spot on to how they do it, and I was just like, gosh.
Yeah.
It was so good. So is that something like, you know, the whole entertaining aspect of YouTube? Because I picture all YouTubers, or for the most part, I picture them as entertainers. Is that kind of how you see yourself?
Yeah. Well, so I'll give you a reference here. Like I make a little bit of money off of YouTube, you know, and I have another job, but that's only part time. And and people ask me, well, what do you do? And I'll tell them my real job, and I say I'm also an entertainer. And I don't know about you, but if you were like a YouTube video game commentator, that's not exactly your opening line to a girl at a bar, right? You know, like
Right.
Nobody really wants to hear that. Like, so what do you do? Oh, I actually talk over footage of video games. How about that? You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I consider myself an entertainer, but not in the strictest definition, you know, or not in the way that like I would be proud of it, you know. So yes, I guess you can call me an entertainer.
I mean, has that been something that you've wanted to do? Like when you were a little kid, did you kind of lean towards that? Did you like being in front of people?
Well, actually, like, once upon a time, my grandparents got me a video camera for my birthday, and I fell in love with that thing. I was 11. I was making these videos of, like, let's see. Okay, so just give you a perspective here. My first video was 45 crotch hits in 13 seconds, you know? Like, that's what I've done, and I loved it. I loved making the video. I love editing it. I love filming it. I love planning it. I love making the jokes. I love, you know, just kind of associating with people. And from that day, I thought, this is what I want to do. So, you know, I was so determined on this that, you know, I asked my dad to get me like an engraved dog tag, and I had like this fake production name, you know, so I said, you know, like my name wasn't ArraySeven, my name was like my actual name on the dog tag, and it said, you know, insert Array's actual name here, president and CEO of, you know, insert fake production company here. And that's kind of been my dream. And now that I have a channel like this where I entertain people through making videos and commentating, or, you know, making people laugh and stuff like that, it's kind of come true. And I love that, you know, I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great that YouTube provides this platform for people who might not have the opportunity to step out and like do something on their own.
Oh, definitely.
Now anybody can do it.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I just like being behind a microphone or behind a camera or behind something that kind of shows off, you know, my creative liberty. You know, I like that. I really do. And of course, there's people out there who don't like what I do, but I mean, that's how it is with all, you know, I hate to call it art, but freedom of expression. How about that?
Right. I mean, everybody's going to have their own opinions, and it's not going to be for everybody, but
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
obviously you're doing something right. If somebody likes it, I think you're doing a good job.
If it makes someone smile, then it was worth it, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about your background and how when you were younger, your dad got you a video camera and that sort of thing. I mean, do you have any certain videos that you've worked on that you're really proud of that stand out to you as something that you say, like, this is one of my best?
Yeah, I actually really used to be into stop motion. I loved stop motion. You know, the whole Tim Burton stuff, I was so into that. I made hundreds upon hundreds of claymation videos, and they were actually really good. I was actually picked up by a local car company, like not like a car dealership, to kind of make an ad, you know, like a TV ad for them with stop motion.
Really?
Yeah, I loved that. You know, and then I kind of got into the whole YouTube thing, and well, I didn't quite have time for stop motion anymore, but I still love it. You know, and if I were to quit YouTube right now, that's what I would do.
That's really cool, actually. Like, so you're into like animation and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, I love it. You know, and so I actually did an internship up in Seattle with a company called Superfad, and I actually got a chance to work on, like, I'm very good at special effects, After Effects, things like that. I actually got a chance to work on a Taco Bell commercial, Olive Garden, and Arby's, which is funny because I don't know if you guys have seen Arby's commercials, but they have like these really hot models eating these giant, huge, fattening, cholesterol, like drenched burgers, you know, and it was the funniest thing ever. Cause we, okay, little peek behind the curtains. The burger was completely fake. Like all the gloss from the grease was painted on, you know, and like it was like plush and like a dog squeak toy, you know. And it was the funniest thing ever to see this model, like, in just her underpants, taking a bite out of a rubber hamburger, and then afterwards, like, having, like, scrub her mouth with, like, Mentos or whatever. She hated the taste of it. It was the funniest thing ever. But, yeah, I actually had some internships with that, and, you know, that's where a lot of my experience with editing and special effects comes from. I guess it's kind of paid off a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that, like, something that you might be doing instead?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to choose a career, you know, like the whole like advertisement commercial industry was where I would go, you know, because first of all, I have a very short attention span. You know, if something takes more than 3 days to make, I'm not gonna get into it. But unfortunately, I'd work on movies, but advertisements, since they're only 30 seconds long, they only take like weeks or a month to actually, you know, put into motion. You know, so that's why I would get into that. And plus, you know, there's a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
You know, people want advertisements all the time, and I would love to get in that kind of stuff.
And like you said earlier, you're saying like you come up with like a simile and you just center a whole video around it. And I think that would work really, really well for like advertisements and commercials and things, especially the ones on YouTube that are like 15 seconds.
Exactly. You know, like, like, I don't know. I had this idea for a burger commercial a while back where they just, like, they censor out one word, you know, and just have that word completely censored, and it turns out that the word's like fattening, you know, and I don't know, and like I just come up with these random ideas. It plagues me almost. It really does, because I get kind of get unfocused a little bit, or out of focus, and I'll end up like nailing my hand to a board, which I've actually done before because I wasn't paying attention. Like had a nail gun and I actually sent a nail through my hand, straight into a piece of plywood. That was a fun day though. Like, this is the first time I've ever been to the doctor's office and been able to, you know, tell them something that would take the retard cake. I mean, that was a day to remember right there.
I mean, is that a problem for you? Is a lot of things pop into your head, and like so many things are in your head, you have so many different ideas, and you just don't even know where to start with some of them.
Yeah. Well, actually, a more common problem is I don't know when to shut up. That's the worst part, you know, because I have a need to continue entertainment. You know, if someone's talking or someone is not talking, I will.
Right.
You know, if someone's not saying something, I will say something. Like, I actually did a practice stream with Eckstein a while back. I don't think Eckstein wants to do a stream with me anymore. You know, like a co-commentary, because I would not shut the fuck up. Like, every time he paused, I would kick in something. You know, like he would say, "Looks like that pyro's gonna go up there and reflect the rocket. That's beautiful." You know, meanwhile, there's me, ArraySeven, in the corner. Boom! Look at that rocket taken in the face by the pyro! You know, I have a need to just be entertaining, and people don't like that, and unfortunately, I don't know when to shut the hell up.
So I actually do have, I went on Twitter, and I tweeted out asking if anybody would have any questions they want to ask you. So we have one question.
What's that?
Which we did touch base on a little bit, but we'll go over it again here. At Crayon Nipple says, do you have any competitive
Hang on. I have to laugh at Crayon Nipple. Oh, Jesus.
That laugh, laugh cannot be real. There's no way that's real. That's a fake laugh.
Anyone who's seen my stream knows that's a fucking real laugh. People have said that I have two laughs. I have the walrus getting tickled, or the SpongeBob high on ketamine. It's one or the other, you know. But like you said, Crayon Nipple, and I just had like this mental image of like Elmo being as PG as he is, like, you know, Elmo loves his crayons, and then like pulling his fur flaps down, and there's like these little Crayola nips underneath it, and I can only imagine what that would look like and what kind of children that would scar for life, you know. So what did Crayon Nipple ask, please?
Crayon Nipple had quite the question here. It's do you have any experience playing competitive, and do you play Battle Medic in competitive?
Okay, I don't have like actual match competitive experience. I've done. I was on a gold Highlander team, and I did scrims, and I rocked this. I rocked the scrims. I was proud of myself for that, and then afterwards, I kind of got out of touch. But now that I'm into YouTube again, and I started doing these medic tutorials, people seem to like the medic tutorials, and now with matchmaking coming up, I figured I'd dip my toes in competitive just a little bit. So I just started getting into it now. Like I said, I'm on a UGC team. I don't do battle medic in competitive because battle medic only works in pubs. I don't think you guys realize that, because let's think about how many weapons can out damage the Blutsauger and Bonesaw. Let's see. Everyone. So I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark here and say that nobody sane plays combat medic in pubs. However, or not pubs, but competitive lobbies. But I will say that I'm very aggressive when I play medic. I am very aggressive. I am not afraid to take on a scout in a sixes match. Everyone's like, "What are you doing, Array? Get out of here!" And I pull out on top. You know, like a crossbow shot and a bonesaw and ubersaw, excuse me, and an ubersaw swing can easily take out a scout. And if I hit them once with the crossbow, I will bait them into a corner and just cleave them in two.
Because scouts, I mean, they see the medic and they're going, "Oh, this guy, you know, he's a medic. He's
exactly. It's an easy pick. This is easy pickings right here. This is like Captain Hook with a booger in his nose kind of easy pickings. This is gonna be just absolutely easy as shit. But you know something? Kitty got claws.
Oh man, competitive battle medic, not really a thing.
No, not a good idea.
Not right now, anyway. One thing I did want to ask you is we have talked about your experience with like motion graphics and After Effects, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I saw something on your channel where you actually where you made like your banner, your YouTube banner. So you talked about like you've kind of done the claymation, you've done a little bit of animation stuff. So have you ever done like source filmmaker stuff? Is that anything you've ever wanted to get into?
I tried getting into it. Actually, some of you guys who know my channel have seen Calamaris, and it was like a heavy, you know, like looking into a fridge. It's like 20 seconds long, easily the weirdest video I've ever done. And it was my first and quite possibly the last SFM animation I will ever do myself. From now on, I'm fucking hiring people. Because not only was it just aggravating and just irritating to do, I don't have that kind of patience, but I should not be given that much creative liberty. I should not be able to be given this kind of tool where I can make anything come true, as anyone who has seen that video knows what I'm talking about.
That's awesome though. I love the freedom that it gives you, that you can like go off the wall if you want to.
Exactly, but I don't think I should be allowed to go off the wall, because like I said, Elmo with crayon nipples is what happens when Array goes off the wall.
Yeah, gotta keep Array on the wall. Just
exactly.
I actually think that's all the questions that I really have for you. Is there anything that you would like to talk about? Anything you want to mention?
Not really. I guess my biggest thing I can say is I can't wait for competitive, like matchmaking. I cannot wait for this to come out. You know, I would love to see where Valve takes this. You know, and they've already started to try to make it more like Counter-Strike, you know, and I'm totally okay with that, because have you seen the amount of attention that Counter-Strike gets?
Oh yeah.
The, like 2.5 million cash prize for the winners of the leagues and all that. I'm totally okay with that becoming TF2. So, you know, I cannot wait for this. And I'd also like to say that I really appreciate your time here, Grizzly. You're a great guy. It's been fun talking to you. You're awesome.
Well, thank you very
really
much, man. You are awesome yourself.
Aw,
so I appreciate you coming on, taking your time. If people don't know where to find you, they don't know about your YouTube or any other stuff that you do, where can they go to find that stuff?
You can go to www.youtube.com/ArraySeven. Now, be careful you don't actually type in Hooge Pooge Animations, because don't do that, guy. He's actually an idiot. I'm kidding. I don't even know if Hooge Pooge Animations said. See, that's what happens when I go off the record. I just come up with names like Hooge Pooge Animations, and now, you know, now someone's gonna go to YouTube and type in Hooge Pooge Animations. They're gonna see like some guy who's super good at animating, and someone say, "Hey, Array said that you sucked at animation," you know, and then I'm just gonna be, it's gonna be terrible. I appreciate you being here, my friends. Anyone who's listening right now, I would like you all to continue being who you are. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't be anybody else, because you know what? You can be somebody. You can be anybody who you want. I want you to grab life by the balls, twist until you hear kings dying. I want you to focus all your energies on achieving your dreams, because you know something? If you focus hard enough, it's gonna happen. And no matter how hard anybody tries to prevent you from doing that, it's gonna be a beautiful moment when you can look at their face, and with all your dreams coming true, and all your riches, all your fame, all your glory, all your beautiful assets, and your hot smoking wife, you can finally look at them in the eyes and say, "Fuck you!" Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen.
So there you have it. That was my conversation with ArraySeven. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. If you want more Array, be sure to check him out. Links are in the description. So go over there, support him, show him some love. And if you guys would like to be one of the people to ask a question for my next guest, be sure to follow me on Twitter at @GrizzlyBerry, GrizzlyBerry with a 1 instead of an L. So I will announce when I'm taking questions for the next guest, and if you guys want to ask a couple questions, that's the way to do it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.